Do you think the Prime Minister will survive this?
Well, it's incredibly difficult to say at this point. Were the scandal to stop today, it's likely the Prime Minister would be able to ride it out. The big questions arising over this, however, are how many more fines are there to come? The Metropolitan Police have not concluded their investigation, and the 30-plus extra fixed penalty notice orders that were issued earlier this week, well, they were not the end of the story. We will know when the Metropolitan Police finish their investigation, because they'll tell us. So if there are more events to be analysed, more fines potentially to come, the situation could get stickier for the Prime Minister. However, there are some big points in the Prime Minister's favour in the eyes of Conservative MPs at the moment, not least the way in which the Prime Minister was received in Kyiv in Ukraine just over the weekend. Clearly the Prime Minister leading a global effort and being at the forefront of that global effort to make sure that Mr. Putin fails in Ukraine and to ensure that the West stays strong in support of Ukraine. Now, that's a big point that many Conservative MPs who you speak to will raise when it comes to discussing the mechanics of potentially dislodging a Prime Minister and launching a rather chaotic leadership election at the time of national crisis. The other point, I suppose, is that the fact of this party, this particular event, whether or not we call it a party, I suppose, is open to interpretation. Well, this doesn't seem to be the most major of breaches of lockdown in anyone's interpretation. This was an event that people in Number 10 genuinely didn't think broke the rules. How do we know that? Well, they briefed this event out at the time, on the 19th of June 2020, to the press. It appeared in newspapers the next day, on the 20th of June 2020. No journalist who wrote that story, no member of the public who read that story kicked up a fuss at that point. Clearly, this particular event was not a lighting of anger. However, in the context of Partygate, with the further events that have been alleged coming to light, potentially that delivers more danger. So where we are at this point in time, I think, is a less precarious situation than we faced several months ago, a more calm Conservative Party. And let's not forget, it's the Conservative MPs who hold the sword of Damocles over the Prime Minister's neck at this point. It's Conservative MPs who can issue their letters or otherwise. They're the people that we need to listen to and that we need to consider the opinions of. At this stage, it doesn't look like Conservative MPs have an appetite for defenestration of their leader, for regicide. But potentially the temperature might change. Of course, we're in recess at the moment. Parliament doesn't return until the middle of next week. And indeed, that Metropolitan Police investigation does rumble on. If something else were to come out, potentially the temperature would change.